Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Online OffStream Podcast. We're here today with our sixth episode of the podcast, which is kind of crazy. 6 episodes. It's been a month. 2 days ago has been a month of us making a podcast so far. And I can't believe it's been a month already. It's actually crazy.
1 month?
Yeah.
That's wild. Happy 1 month.
Happy
Also, hi
one
everyone.
month.
Happy episode 6. That's wild.
Change the
Happy 1 month.
change
That's
the entrance
insane.
for this one. I just had to it literally just came to me as I was doing the introduction. I'm like, wait,
Wait a
today's
second.
the 26th, which means 2 days ago
Oh,
was like the day that we actually decided to be serious about the podcast and stuff. So
that's so
it's
cute.
our little project baby is a month old.
Oh, a happy 1 month project, baby.
Woohoo!
Woo! No, that's so cute. I love that. That's wild. This year has gone by so quickly, and the
Hmm.
past couple months in particular have just flown. And doing this kind of podcast where it's like scheduled time to like talk and chill and just have like a nice time. Obviously, yes, it's still quote unquote work to a certain degree. Um, but it's also like doing something this fun and really taking it seriously and dedicating the time to it.
Hmm.
The fact that we've done that now for a month and really have, I think it's going well
Oh
personally.
yeah, same. We've been very consistent, very
Yeah,
productive with this whole project, and we're very happy that we're doing it. We talked about
yeah,
before how it just gives us more time to hang out with each other and chill and talk about things and catch up. But it also is something we enjoy doing, content creating, and
yeah.
plays into all of that. So it's a lot of fun to just be sitting here hanging out with my bestie, yapping away, talking about life.
Just yapping, no
But this
big.
year
No,
really
I love it.
has flown. It's crazy.
It's wild. As we're recording this, we are officially 23 days until we are in person together.
Let's go. 23
23
days.
days.
Oh.
Sorry, my brain just imploded and exploded at the same time. Wild.
That is
Okay, not to like
wild.
start a panic attack on
Oh
both
my
of us,
god.
but the fact that it's 23 days, it's like this year has gone so quickly, and both of us have been through a lot this year. That like
Hmm.
the fact that we're kind of towards the end of August, we've survived through lots and lots of upheaval and stresses to have it be like almost end of August, coming in hot with TwitchCon, and again like nearing the end of this year already. It's like, oh my gosh, this year has been a whirlwind.
Yeah. I
I
just
don't
remember at the
know.
beginning of the year, we're all sitting there thinking about the times that we're going to see each other this year in person, like TwitchCon and then the Taylor Swift concert, which is going to be happening in December. And so it's like the fact that
Yep.
time has moved so fast that we're already at the point where we're going to be seeing each other in 23 days and then have a break, recuperate, and meet back up in December. That's
Yeah.
just crazy.
I was actually thinking about this exact thing like the other day. Because I was looking at pictures from last year of TwitchCon, just kind of organizing my hard drive and stuff
Hmm.
because she needed some TLC. So I was looking at pictures, and then like somewhere in the middle, I switched from TwitchCon pictures to like right after TwitchCon, and how only like a week or so after that, when like we were just talking on stream, and then it was Taylor Swift ticket purchasing time, and then you were telling me like, no, wait, like I have a ticket, like we can do
Yeah.
this, we can figure this out,
Yeah.
and then to be now, it's like, oh my gosh. Like,
right?
because honestly, that stream, I wish I had clipped the moment that you were like, Estella, like, message me after stream. Because my face when you told me that, like, I have to say, a moment on stream, everybody was like, wait, are you kidding? Are you lying? um, I wish I had clipped it, but like that time to now that we're so close to it,
Hmm.
it's wild. Like, I don't think my brain can fully grasp it, but seeing it laid out in pictures and timeline, it
Right?
was like, oh my gosh, it's been
Yeah.
almost a year.
Yeah, it's been almost a year, which is crazy. Like, how the hell does time fly that quickly? Like, you're just casually living your life, doing your own thing, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's like August. And a few weeks ago, you were just in January. Like, hello.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a meme on, I think it was on Pinterest actually, where it was like how the year went, and it was like January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. It was like that is how this year has been. It's like the year got off to kind of a slow, like drag on time, and then all of
Hmm.
a sudden it was like full speed ahead. Um, and I think for both of us also in our content, we've experienced that where things go through a little bit of like a calm period and then it's like full speed ahead. And
Yeah.
I've definitely noticed it with your streams and stuff. Even when you've had to take some time off, like you come back guns ablaze and ready to go. Um, yeah, and I feel like that definitely happened content wise, but also offline wise, where things were calm and then zoom.
Yeah. I would say, I think for me, like, the first January wasn't too bad because I was still working. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think like beginning of February is when I had quit my job. And that's when I
Yeah.
went to go spend a month in the States in February. And then I came
Yeah.
back and it was like March to July, March, April, May, June, and July. Yeah. Is when things were slow because I was
Mm-hmm.
living in a moment where I'm like, I'm unemployed. I'm not working. My bills are racking up. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what to do. And so it was like a situation where I was very much living in the moment, not in a good way, in a bad way, because it was all like stress induced. Um,
Right.
and then, like I'm working again now and time's just like zooming by, especially because with my job, we have to do like check things for days, like 7 days in
Yeah.
advance. So it's like, today's the 26th. We're recording this on the 26th. We're checking stuff for things that are like next week, September 2nd. And so it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, September 2nd is like 7 days away. And then all of a sudden it's September 2nd. And it's like, okay, wow, time flew by quickly.
Yeah. Definitely. No, I feel that. I think our unemployment timeline was very similar
Hmm. Yeah.
from the beginning of the year. I think you went back only maybe like a week or two, maybe 3 weeks at the most after I got that job.
Yeah.
Like it was around the same time that we both decided to leave our last position and then go to the one that we were in. And then, you know, and that kind of leads to one of the topics I guess that we were talking about discussing today is
Yeah.
the people on my streams will know. I decided to leave my last job literally this weekend, so slay. Um,
Slay.
so
So slay.
that's fun. Honestly, though, in this situation, I think it is a slay. I think it was the right decision, but
Oh, a thousand
um,
percent. Like,
I'm also like back on that unemployed in the quote unquote real world way.
yeah. But like,
Um,
at least
but
like sorry, I'm totally cutting you off here, but at
no, you're
least
good.
it's you're not, just like lounging around, not doing anything with your life and stuff like that, right? So it's like you may be unemployed, but if you ever get into a situation where it's like you feel bad for being unemployed and stuff like that, then it's like don't forget that you are doing something big. You are doing something
Yeah,
productive and that is like good for your mental health, and you can make something out of it. So, you know, you're
Yeah.
doing
I mean,
stuff.
I think the timing of it, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, because I think the timing of it is like in some ways absolutely terrifying, knowing that, we have our big trip coming up and, the kind of the expense side of things. And, I live in Los Angeles. It's not the cheapest place to
Hmm.
live. So there's definitely that stress, but also kind of the relief of like, no, I can really dedicate the time to my streams and being consistent and showing up, particularly before TwitchCon. Um, but then also, like I was talking to Mama Melon about this. Is like, when you guys, you're coming to my home.
Yeah.
Like I want it to be home and cute and like I want to finish decorating, like because I've been working on like a little room organization.
Free
That was not
organizer.
English. Reorganize. I'm just very wee baguette, Reorganize. A room reorganization, and like I've been kind of tearing up my apartment trying to like make it cute anyway. But like knowing that like I have a deadline of
Hmm.
like you guys coming, it's like I can dedicate the time and energy to that and like obviously content and all of that. So it's not like I'm just sitting here like feeling sorry for myself, but it's definitely like not the easiest situation.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm also like I made the right decision for sure.
Yeah. Well,
100%.
mentally it's tough because like I feel like growing up we all get told this, like everybody can relate to this, but it's like if you're unemployed, just even the word unemployment is like a bad word. It's not a good
Yeah.
word. People don't ever use it in a good way and stuff like that. So it's like, growing up we
Has
get
very
told that if you're
negative.
unemployed, you're not doing anything good with your life or you're not doing anything with your life in general. And so it's
Yeah.
hard to like, be unemployed, be in the situation where you are unemployed and feel bad for yourself, feel like you aren't doing anything
Yeah.
with your life and stuff.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel like it has a very negative connotation, like just the word itself. Um, and I feel like it's complicated because there's so many different levels of employment. I don't think there's anybody really at this time in history who has just one job,
Hmm.
or one either source of income or one responsibility. Everything and everyone has so much that goes into just their day-to-day lives. That I feel like there's that the negativity that comes with the word unemployment is just so it feels very outdated in a way because everything that goes into just running a household, like that's a full-time job in itself.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's a lot in itself. So for people to have the negative about it, it's like, no, I'm working late and just to try to survive. Forget about any kind of external stuff. But yeah, no, it's definitely weird to be back in that boat. But I think for the better,
Hmm.
for sure. Um, and also like leading up to TwitchCon, it's like, you know what? Party time.
Party
Let's
time.
have a good time. It's all gonna be
Yeah.
okay.
Also, very quick side note here. I'm a little creeped out because I have my Nintendo Switch like Pro controller sitting on my desk here, and it just like randomly
Yeah,
started just going off. I don't know what it's trying to connect to. I'm like a
not the
little
ghost.
creeped out by that. Like, what are you trying to connect to? My
Did
Switch is off. It's not trying to connect to my computer. So I don't know what's going on. Okay, I think my controller's haunted.
did like a button? Did a button get pressed?
No, that's so weird.
Ew,
I don't know
don't
what's
like it.
happening. I'm
Like it.
scared.
See, I always like I have my little controller next to me as well, but the like the what's it? The Z buttons, if you will,
Oh, yes,
are
sometimes those get
very
pushed.
very sensitive.
Yeah.
Very sensitive. And I'll literally just like put my controller down to the side and it'll start lighting up and
Yeah.
like freaking out. So I'm like maybe it got bumped.
Hopefully, that's
How
what
it
I'm
goes.
thinking. I think it could have just gotten bumped, and I'm just being dramatic. But that was my little.
Part of
I
your
just needed
time.
to bring that up.
Your side note.
My little side note, yeah. But going back to the whole like, like not working thing, uh,
Yeah.
we're both like very much advocates for if a workplace is not treating you right and you feel
Yes.
mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, and like, you can't be there anymore. Do what's best for your situation. Like if you do have to be there for financial reasons, you can't afford to quit the job and stuff. Totally understandable. But if you can afford to find something new, something better, or just leave because it's taking such a toll on
Yes.
you, then leave. Like
Yeah.
do not give your time and energy that is precious to you that you could be using on better things to help yourself and help other people. Don't use it on a place that's going to treat you like shit, not value you. And so it's like, you
Definitely.
leaving your job was done for a valid reason.
Thank you. Yeah, it's complicated because I felt very caught with knowing what the right decision was because
Mhm.
I'm a very committed person. I'm a very loyal person. When I say that I'm giving somebody my all, I mean it and I'm doing it. And this particular job challenged me in ways that I never thought I would be challenged in this particular kind of job.
Yeah. Well, can we
And most
say,
of it
can
had
we
nothing
say
to do with,
like what not the place because we're not going to like that's
yeah,
some doxing, but the type of
yeah.
job that it was.
Yes, I think I can. So it was a retail position, but it was primarily in customer service.
Mhm.
And I did work at one of the like tills and check people. I don't like saying that. Check people out. Like,
But that is what
if
it's
only I got
called.
paid to
Check
check people out. But
be
no,
making bank.
I'd be making out with bet, but yeah, like a check out, cashier, till person. I did that as well as individual customer service.
Mhm.
Um, and I was very fast, did my little retail job, did all of the management stuff that I was being literally hired and trained to do. Um, and I was good at it. I was efficient. Um, but the issue is, this company that I can't say for all kinds of safety reasons because
Yeah,
I'm
we're
also not
we're
trying to
not
have
trying to
them
dox ourselves and
find
we
my
don't want
ass.
to like we're not going to openly publicly talk shit about
A company.
a company or
Um,
someone. So like
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
We are very
yeah.
demure and mindful to a certain extent.
We're very mindful, very demure, very respectful, very cutesy. Um, but this particular company had many different policies as far as like what they wanted from us, and everybody has a company that does that when you're in that job. But the issue is what they were asking was not respectful or mindful or demure. um, it was very like they really wanted to monopolize a lot of my time, and then not actually schedule me for shifts that I needed. Um, and I live in Los Angeles. It's expensive out here. My rent is very expensive, and they were giving me maybe 4 hours, maybe 8 hours, maybe no hours. And when I signed with them, my initial contract was like minimum 13, which is like fair for an entry level position.
Mhm.
Um, but then it just kind of like got away from them and they just stopped scheduling us. And it was very strange, very, very sneaky, I would say, where it
Yeah.
was like I mean, I have my whole long list of conspiracies about what could have been their primary reason for the scheduling mistakes or lack of scheduling, whatever you want to call it. Um, there are many different things that could happen. I don't know. But what I do know is when I'm seeing every single one of my coworkers literally like the life draining from their eyes the second that they're there and my own like will to do anything to
Just
be
being
there to
sucked
participate
away.
sucked away by the second, and then also the general like I want to say lack of management
Hmm.
that ultimately ended up being kind of my final straw, if you will. Because you're in a retail position, you're in a public job where you're dealing with many different kinds of people. You have to be prepared for somebody to have an off day or somebody to be cranky or
Yeah.
whatever, especially in customer service.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Um, but I mean, the last day, we'd had a conversation when I got home, and I was like, yeah, so I just got screamed at, and there was like a practically naked man dancing in the kids section with a knife,
That's
and nobody was doing
crazy.
anything.
That's crazy.
All this stuff. It was insane. And nobody really did anything about either situation.
Right.
And that was kind of my final. Okay, I'm not safe here.
Time for me to
I gotta
leave.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, retail
Um.
jobs are like crazy. It's unfortunate how much, like, I'm sure there are good retail jobs out there. I have yet to hear of a good retail job experience from anybody, but
Yeah.
they usually never treat people right. They never treat the employers right. Retail has a lot of customer service, right? So it's like you have to deal with a lot of people who don't work there, who don't know like what you're going through, right? And majority of the time they could be cranky, they could be hard to deal with. But then to have like coworkers or managers on top of that be just as bad as like a cranky customer just makes things
Or
worse. And
worse.
it's or worse, yeah. And it's like I don't understand why like a lot of managers in retail companies or just like a lot of managers in general can't like be empathetic and stuff for their employees. Like I get that if you are too empathetic to an employee, they might take advantage of it. But it's like at least show a little bit of compassion and a little bit of
Yeah.
empathy towards your workers.
Definitely. And I feel like because of the world that we're in, everybody has struggles, right? And I never wanted to be the person to, you know, fall on the struggle and have
Hmm.
it be an excuse if I did need a certain amount of empathy. But the few things that I did ask for, like maybe not only working 4 hours,
Yeah.
like, basic things, because it's not like we were getting, additional benefits or like I got a little bit of a discount if I wanted to shop there.
Hmm.
Like that was really the only quote unquote perk. Um, and
Gotta love a
I'm
perk.
fine to just gotta love a perk. I'm fine to just show up and work, but if I'm not even getting the hours to show up to work, then I'm not going to be able to give my all.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and it's like, no, they're telling me not to get some other job, like a second job, but I'm not making enough to pay my rent. Like, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
So it it just all compiled on each other, and I know I made the right decision. And to anybody listening who is going through anything similar, where you're just not being treated respectfully and you're not being treated with the worth that you give, you know that what you're there to do can actually help somebody, and they're not reciprocating with respect, hours, etc. Listen to your gut. And if you're like, I have to leave, like, even though it's a hard decision and it's not always an option for everyone, I also know I'm sitting in a very privileged position to be able to make that call and not have to try to kind of tough it out any longer.
Hmm.
But if you have the option and you have the ability to step away to protect yourself mentally or physically, I highly recommend you doing that. And you're worth fighting for, and you're worth fighting for yourself
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
not be in the line of fire from any kind of verbal abuse or physical, if that were a situation, which thankfully I dodged.
Yeah, I'm
I
so
dodged
glad
it.
because like from the things that I've heard, there's been many crazy people coming into that store and stuff, and I'm glad that
Yeah.
you haven't gotten into any like physical altercation with anybody because that would be bad. Be really bad.
Yes. And again, like one of those final straws that last day there was a disagreement that started getting a little bit heated that I knew that I'm like, if this continues, this could take a very serious sharp left turn and go in that direction.
Hmm.
That it was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to remove myself completely from this situation and from any situation that could arise because I won't be here
Yeah.
anymore. So yeah, it was a hard decision to make. Was not the easiest day of my life, not the easiest weekend to process over my life,
Hmm.
but definitely worth it because I'm here to tell the tale.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. No, it's tough to find a good workplace. I think I've worked many a jobs, mainly a bunch in hotels. There
Mm-hmm.
was one job that I really liked. There were a couple, but it was in the TV and film industry. One of them, I was like a general laborer for the costume department. I moved their costumes from like the storage to the set, and then vice versa. Brought some from
Nice.
the
Okay.
set back, and then I got to be a painter for a TV show. The painter job was the best. That was fantastic. It was so good because it was like,
Yeah.
the pay was amazing. The pay was so good. And then they like paid
Yes.
for your lunch, paid for your breakfast, and then you
Yeah.
got like an hour break and stuff like that. I'm like, this is the life. I don't like the location it's in because it's really far from
Yeah.
where I live, but that job was great. Um, but it's very hard to find a really good job. Like I think prior to when I got
Yeah.
that painting job, I had worked, I would say at least 6 different jobs before I got the painter one.
Yeah.
And then ever since I worked that painter one, I have not found like a job that's been as good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's like even right now, like sure I'm working an office job, uh, but it is like retail level of office work because
Yeah.
like I'm not in the same situation as you where it was like, they only gave like 4 hours a week kind of thing.
Right.
I do have like a consistent 40 hours a week kind of thing. Uh, but it's like the hours suck, the pay isn't good. There's a lot of like, people get away with things that they shouldn't be getting away with. It's very like retail in the sense that they don't treat their employees right. So
Yeah.
it's very much giving a lot of like entry level off or retail level office job.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's favoritism and another is another thing in the workplace where it's like there's so many people
Yes.
that get away with things and that get what they want at the end of the day because of favoritism. And it's crazy. It's like you could
That was
be
definitely a factor in
there.
my job as well.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like you could be the hardworking, like the most hardworking employee there, or you could be one of the top performers. But it doesn't matter if you're not one of the favorites.
Nope.
Like, you
Yep.
you give your job the all, and that's like, I don't even say that I'm like giving this job my all because, like, I truly believe that I am giving them my everything. Like, I'm going way above and beyond my normal expectation of this job just to like show them that it's like,
Mhm.
I am competent. I can do this job. Let me like if I'm giving you this much, please give me something in return. But that's not
Yeah.
what happens, unfortunately. Like I left that job for a
Yeah.
reason. Unfortunately, I did come back because the bills were getting too much. um
Right. Yeah.
yeah, and then it's just like not just the bills too. Like I wanted to have money for TwitchCon and stuff.
Of
I am in
course.
a
Yeah.
situation where it's like, I do live at home with family, so it's like, I am fortunate enough to also kind of be put in a situation where it's like I
Yeah.
can quit a job and be like at least still have a roof under my head. But it's like, at the end of the day, like we do pay our own bills and stuff like that, and so it's like that's when it gets tough, and it's like, well, now
Of
what do
course.
I
Yeah.
do? So Very much a desperate
Yeah,
time calls for desperate measures kind of situation. That's why I'm back there.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's jobs are complicated, you know. I talked a little bit about this on my stream not that long ago. So for those of you who don't know, who haven't really followed me elsewhere, I was in the film and television industry for a very long time as a makeup artist and as a special effects character creator. And I that was basically how I paid my bills from the time I was like 13 years old. Um,
Damn.
you know, that was the world I was in. I didn't do normal quote unquote retail jobs. I didn't do normal work experience was not something that I really ever had to do because I was always on set. I was always, you know, in the lab. I was creating. I was either in beauty school. I was always working in that field in some way.
Hmm.
And when I made the decision to leave after however many years of being in that field, like I started working really, really early on. I didn't consider myself like officially in the industry until after beauty school because I was like, I'm just a kid playing with makeup, even though I'm running whole departments. Like, like some of my like most known, if you will, work I did when I was just like the key artist carrying bags for people. Like I was always involved in that, and that was how I made my money. So when I kind of left that whole world, I didn't know what I was doing.
Hmm.
Like coming into it now, however many years later, of being away from the beauty industry, being away from set work, being away from lab work. Now I'm like, okay, now's the time to do the jobs that I need to just take to survive.
Yeah.
Um, which has pros and cons because it's like the world that I'm in, I was paid to make things look really cute or really scary and I loved it, so it never really felt like work.
Right.
Um, and I also come at it from a very privileged position in that was what I was able to do for a long time. Um, but now it's like figuring out a job in the world where there are not many jobs in the first place.
Yeah.
But then
It's rough
also
out
that
there.
is
It's bad.
not, it's really rough,
Yeah.
really rough. But also in a field that I will not want to like cry myself to sleep with every night. um,
Yeah, because like
because I can't be treated like this.
we're both very creative, like
Mm-hmm.
outgoing people,
Yeah.
and it's hard to be creative in like a real retail job. It's hard to be like
Yeah.
creative and super outgoing in an office job. Um,
Yep.
and so it's like we have to kind of hold ourselves back and be a little bit miserable just to
That was
live.
the thing with this job in particular that I never really thought about in this way is online I'm very extroverted to a certain degree. In person I'm a little bit more like calm, but like I'm a very people describe me right like glittery, bubbly, whatever person.
Mhm.
At this job, I hardly said a word. I was was I silent or was I silenced? Is the real question. Because
Definitely silenced. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah. Because it was also like, even though there were other people who were breaking like dress code rules and stuff, if somebody tells me how I'm supposed to dress, I'm gonna follow the dress code.
Hmm.
Because I know my experience well enough that I'm gonna be the one who gets in trouble.
Oh, yeah. I was
Like,
literally about to say, I feel like we're the kind of people that it's like we break one little tiny minuscule rule and then we get in so much shit for it.
yep.
You know what it is though? It's because we're nice. That's why.
Yeah,
That's
yep.
what it is. And it's
We don't
hard to
have the
not be
like I don't give a
nice.
fuck attitude either.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to with this job. Like ever since I came back, I'm trying to be more like open and be like, why am I getting in shit for XYZ thing when like so and so
Yeah.
has been doing so much way worse than I am.
Yeah.
I had a situation last week at work. I don't know if I told you this. I can't remember. Everybody's gonna gasp when they hear this. Okay, you might gasp when you hear this too. I had a situation last week. I was telling my supervisor, like I was joking with her, and I was like, "Do you hate me or something?" And she's like, "No, why?" And I'm like, "Because you scheduled me two back-to-back like 6-day work weeks. I have to work 6 days this week. I have Saturday off, and then I work another six
Crazy.
days." And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I guess I wasn't paying attention to the schedule when I made it." I was like, "You do hate me. That's so mean." And then I was like, "I'm quitting again. I'm leaving." And she's like, she walked away, and then she turned around and she said, "Well, the door that you left through is still there, so you can see yourself out if you want to." And I was like, "Damn!" I was like,
That
"Damn."
is
Old me
so intense.
would have sat there and just took it. But I decided because, ever since coming back, I was like, I'm going to speak my mind and I'm going to
Mhm.
say whatever I want to. I said to her, I was like, wow, if only you could talk to the people that actually hate you like that instead of me.
Get it. Yes. Pop off, King. Yes. Oh, oh my gosh. No, that's first of all, well done.
It's like, it's a
Second of all, like that's so rude for no reason. Like,
right. It's, I am like cool ish with my supervisor to a certain extent. Like, we do get along, we're fine with each other. But there's a lot of things where it's like I will bring up a situation to her that bothers me, or I will point out something to her that I'm like, this shouldn't be happening. Why is this happening? And, she kind of is like, she kind of takes the friend approach too much, I think, where she'll
okay.
like kind of brush off what I'm saying to her. And it's like, no, this is a legit, like, thing that I am bringing to you. Something needs to be done about this
Right.
because I am upset about it. I may not be upset in this moment, but if it
Yeah.
continues, I am going to be upset. I'm bringing it up for a reason.
Right.
And so it's
Yeah.
like, it's a tough thing because it's like we are cool with each other, but also at the same time, it's like, why can't you be lenient with me when you're lenient with all these other
Right.
people? Like, if I break such a little, small, minuscule rule, why am I getting in so
Yeah.
much shit compared to other people?
Yeah. No, it's one of those things that I definitely agree that because both of us are very like we're very demure, we're very mindful, but like we actually are in the exact like meaning of both of those words. We're aware of everybody else. We try to give people the space that they need to exist wherever they are, and we
Hmm.
just kind of we go with the flow, like we're once we have like our instructions,
Stick
we
to
do
the
what we got to do.
status quo. I don't know why that popped in my head,
Mhm.
but it did. We go
But
with the
anytime a
flow
High
and we
School
stick
Musical
with the
reference comes
status
up,
quo.
we stick with it. um, but I think because both of us do that a lot in many different areas, it's easy for somebody who is in charge, but how do I say this in the nicest way possible? Who's insecure in their position to then feel threatened by us,
Yeah,
and then they take it out on us rather than seeing that we actually are there to help them. They then lash out at us.
right.
And I see it in so many different areas. I see it in the like the streaming world a lot when you become friends with people. Like when you start working together, you start collaborating, and you're good at something, but you're able to give the other person whatever they need, and then you kind of jump back and forth and cover whatever else needs to happen.
Hmm.
And I see it in like normal retail job. I saw it a ton on set. It's part of the inner workings of people and friendships. But at work, like the person who is in charge, like when it's not like everybody's at a common level and there is superiority English
Superiority.
superiority,
Have you
when there
become
is
me? What's
superiority.
happening?
I think so. I think so.
I'm the one using big words
Superiority.
today. You're the one that's messing them up.
Asawi.
That's a big word for
Well,
Elmo.
that's a big one for Elmo. I can't. Hello, Rocco.
Hello, Rocco.
Um, did we have a Freaky Friday moment?
Yeah,
Is
we
that what
absolutely
happened?
did. That's what's going on right now. Hi, everyone. I'm Estella. Welcome to episode 6.
Hi, I'm Wazzy Bazzy, Sussy Bucka Pookie Bestie. Oh my gosh. I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, superiority. There we go.
Yes.
When there is like a positionality situation and somebody takes it out, it seems very much like your supervisor and some of the supervisors that I dealt with have that where they know we're gonna keep going and we're gonna
Mhm.
do what needs to get done either way, and they kind of just let it out on us rather than being able to assess the situation and see where the real problem is.
Yeah.
Because I would bet all of my money that you were not the problem.
Yeah. No. There's people at my workplace that get away with so much. Get away with not even working for like an hour. They just sit there and not even work for a whole hour and get away with it. Um, and so it's like, I point out that behavior and I say like what's going on, but nothing gets done about it. And it's like, I can only say stuff to a certain extent. I'm trying not to get too involved with it this time around because that is part of
Mm-hmm.
what drove me away from the job in the first
In the
place.
first place.
Not that I, would want to stay here for a long time or anything. But it's like, I need it right now and it's
Yeah.
paying bills. So I'm trying not to like focus so much on other people and I'm just kind of like, keeping my head down at the end of the day and doing what I need to do and then that's it. But I'm also being a little
Yeah.
sneaky because I'm also like, well, people are getting away with things to a certain extent. I am gonna get away with things to half that extent because if they can, they're
That's
getting paid the same
fair.
amount of money as me. Then I can afford to
I
slide.
mean, yes, definitely. No, I think that's fair. I mean, from what you've said about just kind of like the job, like the work in itself, you already are going above and beyond. Like you have been working so hard and covering for people when they've made a mistake, you've been able to fix it and things like that that like no, it makes sense
Mhm.
for you to just kind of like
Take it
do
easy for
do
a little
your bare
bit.
minimum.
Yeah,
Exactly. Because you're a very you're a hands-on person. You know, you do what you need to do, and you do if there's something that still needs to get done, you still
I will
do
get it
it,
done. Yeah,
and that's what you're there for to a certain degree. But like, if they still keep handing you stuff and it's time to leave, it's time to leave.
it's time to leave. Yeah.
You know?
It's like, I clock out at 10. So when it's 10 o'clock, I'm gone. Unless you tell me in
Yeah.
advance. If you would like for me to work overtime, then I'll work overtime. But if
Right.
not,
But
and it's
common
like
respect.
five
But if
minutes
you're
or
out, if you're
so,
walking out the door,
yeah, I'm gone.
if you're walking
Bye.
out the door, you're not staying.
See you later. I gave you the time of my day. Goodbye.
Exactly. Exactly. Something that I had to kind of think about also with leaving my job was, you know, a lot of the people that were working there in the management tier of things, that is their entire life.
Yeah,
You know, that is where they put their energy 24/7.
yeah.
And that's great for them. If that gives them joy,
Sure.
love that.
All the
If that
power to
makes
you,
them happy,
Yeah.
do what you want to do. Not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me. And I feel like there was this thing that was kind of like held in front of us of like, oh, well, when you become XYZ manager, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, girl, I'm here for, a short time, not a long time, not a good time, clearly. Um, like I'm just here to just get my paycheck so I can pay for my rent
Mm-hmm.
and for TwitchCon and for Taylor and bye. And I think because I made it clear like I'm here to work, I didn't say at all I had any intention of leaving. But one of the final things also was that they didn't approve my time off for TwitchCon.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to not go to TwitchCon for this place that I almost just said the name of again.
Enough with the doxing.
Except with the dogs thing. But I'm not going to give it up for a place that not only doesn't treat me well, but also isn't my life.
Yeah.
And I was willing to put in the work while I was there to facilitate my life.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't my life. And I think that's very much the situation also for where you are, is it's like, this is in order to facilitate the things that matter to you.
Yeah.
Outside of the job that you're there to do.
Right.
Like,
I think too, like, you probably think this way too. For me, it's like, yeah, where I am right now, I'm not being paid a lot. Like I'm getting paid just $1 above minimum wage of what minimum wage is here. I'm working an entry level position. Before I left, I did have the opportunity to be like a shift leader or team leader at the place that I'm at right now. So I was doing that for a bit. And it's like, sure, I may not be here for a long time. This isn't like the final permanent thing for me. But I do at some point would like to move up and stuff like that. So it's like,
yeah,
if the job opportunities do come where I can move up to a higher position, I will take it. But my mindset is still
absolutely.
going to be the same, where it's like, this is not my life. This is not a full thing for me, but I will still give you 110% of whatever I can give you
Definitely.
at the end of the day. But this is not
Definitely.
my life. I'm working on bigger and better things outside of this.
Yes. I mean, that's the thing, is the job, like, I absolutely think, like, giving your 150%, if you can do it for that job, do it. I mean, that's what I
Hmm.
was doing for my job, before they started being crazy. I was still giving them everything that I had.
Yeah.
I don't half-ass things. I'm very, like, I'm full send when it comes to stuff. Like, if we're doing something, we're going all out. Like,
Yeah.
that's just how the person that I am. And so for them to not even give me the opportunity to really do that, but still want to monopolize stuff and time from me, I was like, can't do that. But any job, absolutely give it your all.
Hmm.
And it's there to facilitate all of the other amazing things that we do outside of that job.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It can't be like why we're here to live and breathe.
Yeah.
Like, that's not cute.
No. Not very mindful.
No.
Not very demure.
Not very
No,
demure.
but honestly, like, if you're somebody that does, like, your job is your life, please do not take offense to what I'm about to say. But I cannot help but laugh at the people who treat their job like it's their life. It's like, okay, cool, sure, yeah, if this is where you want to put in your time and energy all the time to, absolutely go and do it. But don't think that you're better than anybody else or better than everyone else there
Yes.
just because, like, this is what you're obsessed with. Like, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, we're working the same job, making the same amount of money. Calm
Yes.
down a little bit,
It's not that
like,
deep. Like, take a breath.
yeah.
No, it's hard, and it's especially, I think, because we're very creative in where we choose to spend our time, or how we choose to spend our time not working.
Hmm.
Where we choose to put that energy is in a very creative outlet, that when we're kind of around, I mean, I'm about to say something slightly controversial, I guess.
Ooh,
Apologies, this is not to mean any offense. But Mama Melon and I were talking about this, and she was like, "This is a Muggle job. You're a wizard, Harry. You know,
a muggle
like
job is
this is a Muggle
wild.
job.
That's crazy.
This is a Muggle job. You're a wizard." And I was like, you know what? Facts,
I actually love that
because
though. That's so good.
it's so good. Because it's like there's nothing wrong with being a Muggle. That's just how people are. But when you have that little extra bit of magic in you, being only around Muggles sucks the life out of people, and it
Yeah.
hurts.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
it's like when you're creative and you have so many ideas and you want to create and continue to create magic, but you're forced to kind of put that away.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, I was the most like straight presenting person at this job. You would have never known. Never known. And like that's not how I move through the world.
Hmm.
You know, like there's always a little bit of glitter, but you can't in those positions, and it's like
Yeah.
that's
And
fine.
like
If
these
if you're
big
a Muslim,
corporate
live it
jobs
up.
and stuff like that, you can't, unfortunately not. It sucks. It's like you can't be
No.
truly you and you can't be like, the shiny, shimmering, sparkly unicorn that you are outside of work.
No.
At work.
No.
You can try, but you will get
Yeah.
swatted out of the sky so fast.
So fast. It was always interesting. Because on my day-to-day life, I usually have like a fun outfit on, fun colors. Like I'm a very sparkly person. I usually have some fun accessory, and I would leave through the front of my building, wave at my security before leaving, and they know when I was going to work and when I was doing something fun or like normal, because I'd be just in like all black clothes, like very very demure, going to work, and they'd be like, "Oh, have a good shift." And
Oh my
then, like,
god.
when I'd leave on a regular day, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, your outfit, so slay, so yes." And I'm like, "Thanks."
Thanks, I
Um,
know.
I know. But yeah, there is a difference, and yeah, the Muggle versus magic is
Hmm.
a very, again, very controversial, I think, for some people to say, and obviously, we have our own thoughts on that whole situation in itself, but just that the core of it being there are normal people jobs, and sometimes the people who are creative and have a lot of magic in them really struggle to not stick out
Yeah,
and not have the magnifying glass over them when they do make a mistake or have some kind of issue.
right.
And I just couldn't do it anymore. Can't do it.
I think like that's where there's a little bit of difference between us. Because like, like on the topic of being like having to hide a bit of yourself at work and
Yeah.
stuff because you can't be like truly open and yourself there, like not just in general, but like in this context, we're definitely talking about being like openly queer and
Yeah.
showing like a whole different side of ourselves and stuff. Um, I guess like in a way I'm used to it. And so it's
Right.
like for me, it's like, you know, at a workplace, I'm surrounded by people who I know for sure wouldn't like say a slur or like attack me for it. But also at the same time,
Right.
I don't know these people enough, so it's like in a workplace too, where it's like I do have to hide myself a little bit. I can't be open, but it's like my living situation where like how I
Right.
live at home, I have to hide a part of myself all the time. So it's like because of my current like home situation and stuff like that, I'm used to it when I go to work having to hide like a little bit of myself. I definitely am a little more open at work, but I'm not like as
Yeah.
open as I would like to be just solely based off of things that
Yeah.
have already happened at work.
Right. And at the end of the day, it always comes down to safety,
Yeah.
and how that goes. I mean, there are many reasons why besides just the dress code, that I just bit my tongue in every way at work because I overheard a few conversations. There was the big thing that I was like, ooh, I got Panic at the Disco. Is
Panic at the
they
Disco.
were talking about giving pronoun badges for us during Pride Month.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that is wonderful. Like,
Yeah.
that's great. And there was like a whole discussion about it in the break room and how they were making like a stance and a boycott of wearing the pronoun badges because
What the
pronouns don't
hell?
exist.
Oh
And I was
my God.
like, babe, did you not like graduate second grade?
Yeah, like, oh my God, if you didn't go to school, just say so.
Just say so.
If you're
Like,
uneducated, just say so. Damn. Judgment-free zone. Like,
what? Like, second grade is when we learn about pronouns here
yeah.
in public school, in kindergarten in private school. So like, there's no excuse.
You
You
can't
know what a pronoun
say
is.
that pronouns do not exist when they are literal thing in our
Parts of
vocabulary. They're a part of like an actual legit part of grammar.
I can't. No, it that was like, okay, I'm not 100% good here.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, no, you always have to be safety first. Um, in every capacity. I mean, down to pronouns, but also like if there's somebody crazy in the kids section with a knife,
Oh God.
run the other
Yeah.
way
Run
and
the
things
other
like
way.
that.
Yeah.
But no, that makes sense. And like, I only wish for as time passes and things change that you are able to be your most amazing, wonderful self that you are. And I'm always incredibly honored to know the very real and open you. It's something very
Oh my
cool
God,
and very
stop
special.
it.
Um, but it's true. I don't take that lightly,
It's like
because
we
you do
also made
share
the
who you.
podcast for that reason. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh, crazy. Podcast? We're on a podcast?
We're on a podcast? Whoa, that's crazy. Yeah, no,
No, but it's true. I mean, it's special.
yeah, like I'm glad that even though on stream, um, I do feel like I have to hide it. Like I can't openly say things that I want to, even though I kind of do to a certain extent. I have to watch what I
Hmm.
say and how loud I say it and stuff because of like,
Right.
you know, other people that are around. But I'm glad that I have spaces like my stream, this podcast, and like the friends that
Yeah.
I've made through content creating. I can hang out with them and just truly be myself, and be open with
Yeah.
everybody. So it's like I'm glad that I have those safe spaces and those spaces for myself to just be authentically me, which is always a great feeling. Because it's like definitely not going to
Yes.
be doing that in a corporate world.
No. Unfortunately, not. I wish the world were different. I really do, because I feel like some of these big companies are really missing out on some of the most kind, genuine, smart people because the spaces are so divisive and so muggle. I don't know.
So
Like
mug.
there's just no so muggle. I mean,
Yeah.
I really feel like they're missing out on some really amazing people. And
Hmm.
I hope that as again, like as time moves and more things change, that spaces continue to be open, not only for queer people. Obviously a big part of my focus in just existing in the world is obviously queer empowerment, but even beyond that, I feel like obviously women and femme presenting people,
Hmm.
the diversity umbrella is huge that needs to get pushed forward.
Hmm.
Obviously, people of color,
Yeah.
many different backgrounds, nationalities, like everything.
Yeah.
There's so much diversity in the world, and I wish some of these corporate spaces would actually open the doors for that
Right.
to be front and center. Like that's a wish and hope for the world, I
Oh, for
hope.
sure. Yeah. I like being a brown individual. I've worked very many jobs
Yeah.
where a lot of the jobs that I've worked have been like entry level, where it's just kind of like a job where anybody can work kind of thing. And I very much have been treated with the stereotype that, oh, because I'm brown working like an entry level position, I must not have an education, or I'm like, uneducated and stuff like that. And like this
Mm,
job here too, it very much is like that. And so it sucks to constantly have that stereotype where it's like, you know, why are you here? You must not be educated. But then it's like a white person can like work the job that I'm working, but automatically the assumption is that they are educated and know what they're
right.
doing, when it's like, it's actually vice versa. When I was working in hotels,
Right.
I went to college for this.
Right. No, it's unfortunate. I've dealt with a very similar thing with this last job in a way that I've never really experienced before. I don't talk a lot about my background on really anything because it doesn't come up often. And part of me wants to talk about it more, but I'm also like, it's layered, it's complicated. But I'm half Latinx, and I didn't grow up in my most formative years, if you will, with that being my culture and background.
Mhm.
So even though I have Latinx blood and in certain crowds, I look very, very Latinx. In other crowds, it's like people are like, "Oh, you have." I'm very white passing. People
Mhm.
always say, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to take that,
Very
but okay.
conflicting for sure.
Very conflicting. But particularly at this job, a lot of our customers were Spanish speaking.
Mm.
And even though as a little kid I grew up speaking Spanish, as I've gotten older, I've lost a lot of it because it hasn't been in my world. And even though
Right.
I understand a lot, I don't speak a lot. And so even though I would understand for the most part what they were saying to me as customers, I didn't quite have the vocabulary to respond.
Mhm.
And I mean, it was very weird. I've been called many weird things. The main one was like the no sabo, which is like the, oh, you don't speak Spanish and you're like white passing, but
Oh, geez.
whatever. And I'm like, that in itself is such a strange stereotype that in other places people don't ask. People don't
Yeah.
ask or assume anything about my background. I'm just there. I'm a Stella.
Right.
Hi.
We,
And in
we like
this, it was not that.
people need to stop doing that. Like, just because you don't speak the language or you don't practice certain cultural things does not mean that you're any less of that culture. You know,
Yeah.
like, just because you're half Latina, Latinx. I've heard.
So Latina is the very femme version. Latinx is the more neutral, or is Latino, Latina, Latinx.
Ah, okay, okay. I actually
Um,
did not know that. Okay, because I've only this whole time I've only known of Latino and a Latina, but Latinx is like the
you, the more gender neutral
gender
version,
neutral.
but yeah,
Okay. But yeah, just because you're half Latinx does not mean that you are any less like Latinx. You are that. Like,
yeah,
doesn't mean that you're not. And it's like, I've never had anybody say things like that to me, but it's like when I go to people who speak the language that I'm supposed to be speaking and I can't respond back to them, I do get the looks of judgment, and it's like, oh, like,
yeah,
you're not Pakistani, you're Canadian. Then like I have had people that are like, oh, you're Canadian, you're not Pakistani, and it's like, okay, like, I'm sorry that I can't speak the language, but that doesn't mean that I'm any less
right,
Pakistani. Like,
yeah. No, I don't understand that because it does is continue the divide.
right.
Like rather than like speak slower and be patient with me, and I'm happy to do my best to help you. I'm not over here shaming you for not speaking English,
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, like,
which I
when
could turn around
people
and
do
do,
that to
but I'm not going
somebody,
to.
it makes you not
Yeah,
want to be involved in your own culture. It makes you not want to be interested in it or pay attention to it at all.
yeah.
And stuff like that, like, this is a little bit of a weird thing. I haven't watched a Bollywood movie like years. The last time I watched a Bollywood movie was probably in like 2009. Why? Because growing up, people would be like, "Oh, you're not brown. You're so white." And it's like,
Hmm.
or like, you're so whitewashed. Then it's like, okay, well then if I'm whitewashed, I'm not going to be watching like these Pakistani films or Indian films and
Right.
stuff like that. I'm not going to immerse myself in the culture. And because of that, I haven't. I have not immersed
Yeah,
myself in the culture. But it's like, me now, it's like looking back at that and looking at like things now, it's like, you know, people shouldn't have been saying that because that doesn't take away from who we actually are. And so
definitely.
it's
I mean,
like the
I
same thing
can
for anybody listening,
100% agree.
like don't let anybody tell you that you're not or less than what you are culturally.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, for my where I am, like again, I don't talk about it that much online, and part of me wants to more because I feel like it is an important part of getting to know me and some of my background. Um, but I don't speak to any of my Latinx, Latino family. That is not a part of my life at all.
Hmm.
And I haven't since I was 14,
Damn.
maybe even younger. It's been a hot sec.
Wow.
Um, yeah. And so having also the disconnect of that side of my family,
Hmm.
it's also very much like I think part of it is like trauma response, like, oh, don't want to relive that. But it's also because it's so deeply connected in that history
Hmm.
that now it's because, and it's been so long, it's like I don't even remember a good majority of what we were doing, what kind of cultural customs there were that we were participating in because it was so long ago.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that I'm not still connected to it and just that I exist, but because I'm not connected in any way with anybody else culturally,
Hmm.
it's like it's almost that I've, not in a bad way, but it's almost that I've forgotten that that's a part of my history and lineage and whatever.
Right.
Um, that when people then start doing the, oh, you don't know, it's like, no, I literally don't know, I forgot. Like, sorry.
Sorry.
Like,
Yeah.
sorry. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think it's an unfortunate thing that is kind of a cause and effect of stuff that happened. But
Hmm.
it's also like now as an adult, I can look at it and say, okay, that's part of my history, but it's not what defines me.
Right.
And I just hope that people around the world over time will stop the like, oh, you're not this enough.
Yeah.
Because you never deserve that in any context
No,
in any
absolutely
way.
not. Nobody does at all.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and whether it's cultural uh media or a language, like that does not define your existence
Hmm.
within whatever culture or background you're a part of.
Right.
um yeah, I sometimes forget. I'm like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
I also feel like it's a little bit healing in a way where it's like, if you grow up getting told that or like grow up not really participating culturally in things, but then, like you do now and you eat cultural foods or do cultural activities and stuff like that, wear cultural clothing. I find that it's a little bit healing to like do that again when you're doing it at your own pace too. Like especially if you're doing it at your own
Mhm.
pace. When I was younger, the cultural clothing for my culture is called shalwar kameez, and it's just like this really long like top that kind of goes down to your knees, and then like these really
Mhm.
baggy like cloth white pants. And like when I was younger, I would hate wearing them, because it was like different and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't want to wear this.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older, I'm like, I love wearing shalwar kameez.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
this Wednesday I'm going to one of my cousin's engagement parties, and I wanted to buy like something super fancy because I was like, oh hey, like I get to be in cultural clothes.
Yeah.
Um, that was a big ordeal. Something happened, but it's kind of sorted out. But it's like, I'm excited to be wearing cultural clothes on Wednesday because it is comfy.
Yeah,
And then it's like, to eat cultural foods and participate in cultural things at my own pace, at
yeah,
my own time is very healing.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's a part of our stories, and I wish that some of the healing that goes into kind of reclaiming our stories and our backgrounds
Hmm.
were not as obviously upsetting or traumatic or take time to process. But it is a part of our story, and it doesn't necessarily define our entire being.
Right.
But it is nice to reflect and, as we get older, appreciate the kind of before us and the story, the histories that all connect to it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's definitely a layered thing when it comes to like finding the footing of when to reintroduce it to yourself
Yes.
almost.
Yeah.
Um,
Because, like, don't force it
but it
upon
definitely still
yourself.
yes.
Never force anything upon yourself.
No. No. It only goes badly
Yeah.
if you do. But it is always nice when I do hear people not, I don't want to say reclaiming because I feel like that says that it was completely gone, but reassimilating maybe, where you bring back the things in a new light
Hmm.
with a new appreciation, I think is the better
Yeah.
way to put it.
Right. Yeah. No, I like that. Bringing it back into it like a new light and stuff. Yeah, because it's like, it plays back into the whole healing. It's like you are healing a part of you and making yourself happy. Because it's like at the
Yeah.
end of the day, that's what you gotta do, You gotta do the things for
Yes.
yourself that makes you happy.
Yes. I agree. I feel like both of us, in our own ways, have been finding ways to make our lives full and happy,
Hmm.
kind of forging our own paths, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's always nice when things that were in our upbringing or in our backgrounds can also be in addition to the paths that we forge ourselves. It can be an addition. It doesn't have to be the defining factor, but it can be included. I
Right.
think that's always an important part for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely like a very important part. Um, yeah, we're just like forging our own paths, and then life just brought us
We're
together to
just
make
doing
a
it,
path together.
which I think is so fun, so special, and I think about often. I'm like, where were the paths that cross to bring us together, and how much gratitude I have for it.
Right?
Um, because the world is wild and the world is big, and there's so many different things. I when you said the invisible string the other day,
Oh my
just so
God,
you know,
yeah.
I totally had like a little cry about it in the good way, because that's really what it feels like. Like we've had our stories and our times, and whatever it was that led us here, there's so much
Mhm.
gratitude for, and it really is that invisible string of like, no, this was meant to happen. However it did, whatever paths, whatever left turn we did take
Yeah.
for it to get us here, to be able to be together and have our friendship is so cool
All
and
along there was an invisible string
magic.
tying you to
Yeah.
me.
Because
Listen,
we keep
we're
writing
big
it.
Swifties, Kay, but like Swifty lyrics
Yeah.
don't just have to be applied to relationships with like for a lover,
No.
Like when you
Yeah.
apply them to friendships, they also hit just as hard and just as
In
deep,
some ways for
sometimes
me it
even
almost hits
more.
deeper.
Yeah,
It's deeper.
right?
Well, I was
Like,
thinking about this actually yesterday because Enchanted came on, and I only associate now Enchanted with you and Jen. Like that song is now your song.
yes.
And then Invisible String has slowly become our song. And now I'm just over here crying about Taylor 24/7 that has nothing to do with any romantic
Yeah,
relationships.
exactly.
It's my bestie.
when the love for your besties is so strong.
So strong, it gets its own song. That's what happened.
Yeah. No, applying
Oh my
Taylor
god.
Swift lyrics to friendships is like it's a really good thing. Um
Mhm.
yeah. Doesn't just have to be for lovers, you know. Not every
No,
Taylor Swift song. Not every Taylor Swift song is a song about a romantic relationship also. So there's that.
facts.
To everybody that's like, I hate Taylor Swift because all she writes are breakup songs. No. No, honey, sweetie,
No.
no, she
It
doesn't.
just when people say that, I'm like, so clearly you haven't actually listened to Taylor. But
Yeah.
anyway,
But
like,
anyways, pop off, I guess.
anyways, I guess. No, it is definitely not all about that. And where it does apply with romantic relationships, of course, powerful and meaningful, but there's so many more genres, so many more subtext.
Hmm.
Um, and when I listen to them and I hear something that reminds me of a person, whether they're a friend or not, and they're in a different category, it's like it's healing, it's nice, and it's fun to do that because then there's almost like a tangible connection or description with whatever that feeling or emotion is.
Yeah.
And Taylor hits the nail on the head all the time.
Yeah. Like
So many songs. I'm like, that's it.
the song Dorothea by Taylor Swift always makes me think of friends all the time. Like,
Yeah.
just even the first two lines, "Hey Dorothea, do you ever stop and think about me?" It's like, wait, let me stop what I'm doing and like message my friends and just like
Yeah.
talk to whatever about them, you know? It's like life is busy.
Yeah.
Sometimes like you just gotta stop, take a second, message your friends, and then continue.
Yep. I feel like the Folklore and Evermore albums are just the perfect descriptions of what real life was, specifically, obviously, during the pandemic,
Hmm.
but also on how French, like those albums, yes, there are romantic songs on them, but they feel like the friendship, the sister albums, because it feels like friendship and family
Yeah.
on those to me. And like when I listen to them, I'm always so blown away by how real all of those emotions feel, especially when thinking about like friendships or, even old friendships, like people I don't talk to anymore. Like
Yeah, exactly.
those songs bring it up for me of like, oh, remember when I did this with so and so person 10 years ago or whatever. Like it
Yeah.
has that over art
Yeah. 'Cause it's like
of
just like
friendship.
relationships, friendship also like have like when you think about them, there's also the ups and downs where it's like, oh, like I missed this part of the friendship, but also at the same time, like the friendship needed to end for this reason.
Yeah. I actually recently reconnected with a friend of mine who I hadn't spoken to. Like, we never really had a falling out. There wasn't like a specific thing. It just, we kind of stopped talking for a
Hmm.
while. And recently, like, we came back into each other's lives very randomly, very kind of out of the blue. And we've been like slowly talking about things from that time. Because they were like one of my young teenagehood friends, and
Oh
I haven't
wow.
spoken to them really since then. And it's kind of interesting now talking and even though we knew each other and we were close back then, talking about all of the things that we missed even when we were together.
Hmm.
It's been a fascinating thing. We went to the Glossier pop up the other
Oh,
day.
okay.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, we've been reconnecting. Shout out to them because they said they were going to listen to the podcast. So
Let's
hi.
go. Hello. Hi, Stella's friend.
um, but yeah, no, the reconnecting and honestly listening to Evermore was kind of the. I was listening to it and I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready to bring this person back into my life and actually
Hmm.
show up for them and be in their life as well. So
Right. It's always
anyway,
nice
that was
to
a
like
roundabout way to get there.
It's always nice to rekindle like old friendships with people, you know, like if bad things didn't happen, if it didn't end badly, like why not? You know, just like
Yeah.
casually get back into it, catch up again and then go from there kind of thing, you know. Um
Yeah.
so it's like that's nice. It's good. To just like meet up with a friend that you haven't spoken to in a while and just chat about life and get to know each other
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, and we're in very different parts of our lives now than when we were, two like teenage teenagers running around New York together. Like it's a very different life now, being
Right.
adults in Los Angeles, very different existence. And a lot has happened in between then. But it's interesting. I may or may not have been like talking about you and how like cool you are or
Oh my
something. I don't know.
God, stop
Um,
it.
and just kind of filling them in, just like about the people in my life now that I feel like have changed my life for the better. And it was interesting talking to them about it and kind of fitting in where we missed out and
Hmm.
kind of meeting back up again. It's interesting filling in the missing pieces. Um, yeah, it's been an interesting experience.
Right.
A lot. It's been a lot, but it's also been very interesting.
I don't think I've ever had a friend that I've just kind of like fallen out with just casually, you
Mm,
know, like there's always been something that has happened uh that has caused the falling out, whether they know it or not. So I guess it's on me.
yeah.
But, you know, I'm also the kind of person where it's like the friends at the time were the age that like we're all in the same age group. And so it's like, you
Hmm.
know, you should be able to read context enough and know a situation enough to know why we don't talk anymore, why we aren't friends
Right.
anymore. And so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of the friends that I did have that I don't talk to anymore, there's been reasons why we don't talk. So I don't think I've ever like stopped being friends with somebody because we just kind of like lost touch.
This person is really the only person that has happened to with me, so I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Um, like it's a very new experience, and I feel very like I don't know. It's a very different kind of communicating because we want to be in each other's lives and continue growing our friendship again. But it's also, I don't know. I get that, like, that if they listen to this, they're about to get a whole new insight into my brain. I get the, like, before I send a text or before I send, like, a meme or a TikTok or something, I have the, like, are they, is this too much?
Oh my God.
Like, before I send something, I have a, do I not? Because we've been so like out of touch for so long
Right.
that I'm like, do
Oh,
I
I'm absolutely
do
like
I
that with
hit
some
send?
people. Like if
Yeah.
it's somebody newish that I'm talking to or somebody that I haven't spoken to in a while, then I'm like, do I send this? Like, are they gonna think that I'm super unhinged and weird? Like, I don't know if I
Exactly.
should.
No, I've been having that a lot, particularly with this one person, and nothing on their part. Like they've done nothing to cause it within me, like at all.
It's just anxiety brain,
I
is what it is. It's
yeah,
anxiety brain. And it's also like you just want to make a good impression on people all the time. You know, like you want to be yourself, but also at the same time, you don't want to scare somebody off.
exactly, exactly. And I don't know. I think it's funny because like I think of our friendship, right? Like when we met, we had known of each other for a period of time.
Hmm.
And then like we became really close pretty quickly. And then basically we've been sending TikToks and memes and stuff back and forth
Yeah.
every single day essentially now for
Yeah.
over
For a really long
coming up on a
time.
year. And it's like that I now that we know each other and we know more about each other, there's never like a moment I'm like, I'm gonna send you the most unhinged TikTok at 2 a.m. and you're just gonna have to deal with it. And you send me some too, and it's like there's an appreciation for the unhinged and the
Yes.
unfiltered, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, I
um
love being unhinged. So when people are unhinged with me, I'm like, yeah. Well,
we're like, yeah,
depends on the unhinged. If it's a
person.
problematic unhinged,
There
and
is a
by
difference.
problematic, I mean like racist or
Oh,
homophobic or transphobic or
see, I don't even count that as
sexist,
unhinged.
like,
Yeah, I don't even count that as unhinged. I think I put that in its own category of like fucked up asshole like
you're
behavior.
just a
Like
bad person,
that's
bye.
you're just a bad, not necessarily like a bad person, horrible person, but you're doing bad, horrible person things, and you need to work on that. You can't
Yeah.
do that around me.
No. Mm-mm.
Like that's different.
Yeah.
Unhinged is like sending like I don't know like 30 TikToks back to back
Sending a
at 2
TikTok that
a.m.
somebody sent me. This is a call out. If you're listening to the podcast, you know who you are. But sending me a TikTok of this dude making a contraption for the toilet seat where you sit on it, but it's like these prongs that are up. So it's supposed to like go up in your butthole and then stretch it so you can poop easier.
Who?
That's
That wasn't
unhinged.
me. That wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you.
I didn't do that. I sent you a hot men. I don't know who did that.
Their name is Affy Taffy. That's who it
Affy
was.
Marie Taffy. Affy Marie Taffy.
Unhinged.
That's crazy. That is very
It's
unhinged.
wild.
No, see, I'm talking unhinged. Like as I said, like I send you like 30 TikToks, mostly Taylor, lots of hot men, and when bread does bread,
When bread
bread
does bread,
spread.
bread spread on you.
Like damn. Like that's the kind of unhinged I resonate on a deep level with.
Yeah,
I feel like as much as I appreciate some of your content, Affy, please don't send me booty hole. Thank you.
send it. Send it.
That's so funny. Oh my
Also,
gosh. No, I don't know.
I have beef with you, okay? I have slight beef with you.
With me?
Yes, because you have known me for how long? And
Oh, I'm
to
sorry. This is
think
embarrassing. This is
that my
embarrassing.
one emote on my Twitch channel was a Dr. Pepper or a Diet
I
Coke the
have
whole time.
I have beef with me about this exact thing, to be fair. I'm so embarrassed and I would like to make a formal apology because I literally, so for context, today on my stream, we were talking about Diet Coke because I'm a Diet Coke girl. That's just how I move through life. If there's no Diet Coke, I'm a little sad about it, okay? So, we were talking about that, and it came up about Dr. Pepper and how one of our other friends, Yimmy, loves Dr. Pepper, and I was like, slay. But when we were talking about Dr. Pepper and Diet Coke, I was like, they go hand in hand. And I was like, isn't Razzie like sipping on a Dr. Pepper? I have thought for over a year, however long you've had that emote, that it was a Dr. Pepper. It's not one that I use that often, so I just
No,
didn't
not
think
many
about
people
it like
do.
think about it. I just, in glancing, with it being this small, also keeping in mind I'm blind AF, I thought that it was a little chibi Razzie sipping on Dr. Pepper. Turns out it's not, and it's a mug that says coffee. And I
Yes.
apologize formally. um, this is my official statement. I, Estella M. Stone, apologize to you, Razzie Lisa, for thinking that your emote would pepper.
I
I was
accept
so
the
embarrassed.
formal apology. Uh that's it. So I just sent it to Estella. I've realized
Okay.
that I can show you all pictures on the podcast episodes because we post video format. And so
Yes.
this is
It's so
the
cute.
picture. Okay. That's it right there. That is the picture.
I see it now.
Yeah.
But make it small. Make it small. Make it
Okay.
emote size.
Okay. I'll make
Okay?
it small.
In my defense, I'm blind.
So that's the coffee. They do show up like this on like a Twitch stream chat. So they do show up very tiny. But that's the
Thank you.
emote.
Let me know when it's that small.
Small.
Let me know it was small. Let me know if you can see where I'm coming from, okay? It's not because it's
Yes.
not a beautiful emote. It is adorable and I love it. And now that I see that it's coffee, I can see that it's a mug. I see it. I recognize it. I was wrong. But but literally for over a year, I'm like, oh, Razzie has a Dr. Pepper emote.
No, it's
And I found this out
coffee.
whilst live. I found this out whilst live today, and
Yeah.
I was
It's
shattered.
because I love coffee. I love coffee. I like
Yeah.
if I were to say if I were to ever say I have an addiction to anything, it's coffee. Not that I should be saying I have an
Yeah.
addiction to anything, but I have an addiction to coffee.
I mean, I understand. Coffee hits.
It's
It's
so
so
good.
good.
Yeah, it makes me have
I
feelings. I don't feel
as you
anything in
should.
life until I drink coffee.
That's my story with a Diet Coke. Thank you. I get
Thank
it.
you.
I get it. No, I understand why you have beef with me, and as I said, I had beef with myself about it. Literally, I tried so calmly to move on from it on stream, but inside I was like, oh my god.
I
And
can't forgive
everybody
myself
in
though.
chat was like fake friend, and I was like,
I'm so-
oh, sorry.
oh my god, that was so funny. Oh my god.
I was like trying really hard to like laugh it off, but inside I literally was like screaming.
Listen, you
Like
know they
you
have
fucked
your
up.
back though because nobody clipped it and sent it to me. Okay? If I were to do
True.
that, somebody would have clipped it and sent it to the person that I was talking about.
I think the fact that you were there when it happened helped. To be fair, the fact that you responded with just like the blank face emote,
Yeah, I was like
it was so bad.
the
Anyway,
Jen's
formal
blank face emote.
apology.
Yeah, I think that's what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yep, the mouth one. Yep.
You know, formal apology, and I'm glad you've accepted it. I don't think, you know, I've said and done a lot of embarrassing things on the internet. Um, I feel like that one might be in the top five, but we move on,
You
we
are
grow.
forgiven, and we shall move
Thank you.
on from it. Will I bring it up again in the future? Yeah.
Yes. In fact, next thing you know, you're gonna be handing me a Dr. Pepper with a coffee sticker on it or some shit.
Next thing you
Like, I
know,
don't
I
know, it's
will
gonna
be
come and
handing
haunt
you
me.
papers. Propaganda against the Stella. Stella, fake fan, fake friend.
Oh, no. Not the merch, not the flyers, not the mugs.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my gosh, that's so
Incredible.
funny. No, I'm glad we can continue our friendship.
I'm glad too. You know, I think I was very hurt and I was very affected by the
Literally,
whole emote situation, but
you know,
I am a nice enough person that I am willing to look past this and move on from it and we can
literally
continue our friendship.
podcast title, we have beef. Roast beef.
Roast beef. Stop. I can't. Roast
You
beef.
are so dumb. Roast
We have beef.
beef. We have beef.
Roast beef. I can't. Oh my god. Yep, there we go. We got
There we go.
it. Well,
Well,
I
on
think,
that note,
yeah.
thank you guys so much for listening to episode 6. We hope you've enjoyed our Yap sessions.
Mhm.
We're, Chaos Gremlins doing our best is basically our brand. So we hope you enjoy our deep chats and our moments of chaos.
Yes. Yeah.
But
This is very much a moment of chaos.
very much so. But what can you do? What can you do? As always, make sure to follow us on Online OffStream
Mhm.
Podcast for updates. And if you have any questions, suggestions, etc., feel free to use our hashtag Online OffStream Pod on Twitter. We are going to be having our next episode up shortly as well. We hope you
Mhm.
enjoyed this week. And in between podcasts on Wednesdays, where can they find you, Razzie?
I can be found on Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter at Razzie Aliza. And where can they find you?
Oh, they can find me on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, sometimes TikTok, um, at Stella M. Stone.
Yippee!
Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you in
Yes.
the next one.
We'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye.